senior, when I was a freshman, helped lead us to a national championship, Mr. Brian Zoubek. As always, if you like what you're hearing, please remember to subscribe and leave a rating. Reach out to me on Twitter, Dre_Dawkins, or to the network at the Field of 68, and let us know who you want to hear from next. And make sure you head over to YouTube and follow our channel over there, the Field of 68, where we post exclusive clips of all of our podcasts. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. All right, this week we got my guy, a legend, got his own chant at Duke, Mr. Brian Zoubek, a.k.a. Zoubs. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Great. Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. All right, so we start the podcast off the same way every week, and so we got to get your welcome to Duke moment.
Oh, man, I think my welcome to Duke moment was probably our 7 a.m. runs. My big ass was trying to keep up with everybody else. You got John puking on the side, trying to beat everybody, and DeMarcus, running sub 4-minute miles. And,
Yeah.
Then there's me, so.
Well, I will say by the time I got there, your senior year, you were running pretty well. I mean, I think I barely beat you in the mile my freshman year. So, I mean, I guess you progressed over those 4 years.
Yeah, I guess. I think they tamped it down a little bit in terms of the amount of running, which was fortunate, probably because of me. Who knows? I ended up by the end of my freshman summer, I ended up running a 5:25 mile.
And, oh wow!
So it was lost a little bit of weight, probably a little bit too much running, but they had to whip me into shape. So
they got a way. They have a way of doing that. So I mean.
Lose that baby fat,
Yeah, I hear you. So back to high school, when did you hit 7 feet?
I'd say, I was, by the end of my freshman year, I remember being 6'9". So I think I came in mid sixes to freshman year, maybe 6'4", 6'5". By the end of the year, I was 6'9". And so at that level, you never kind of really know when you're going to stop. And so, my parents are 6'6", 6 and 6'3", and so kind of thought that range. And then hit 6'9", thought it was going to be that. And I think by junior year, I was probably 7'1", 7'2". So by junior year, I was full height.
Yeah. I mean, what is that like, adjusting to like that much added height in that little bit of time? I mean.
Well, I like to think I'm put together slightly now, but I'll tell you what, being 6'9" my freshman year of high school, and I was in a new high school, hadn't known anybody much that year. Adjusting to your body growing that fast is always not fun. I fortunately didn't have too many growing pains or anything, as I was always just taller than everyone and kind of grew longer, and so I didn't have kind of like that 7-8 unit or 8-inch year or summer that some guys had.
Yeah.
It's a process of getting comfortable with your body.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. So, when I was in high school, I was like, 6'3", 6'4", and I'm playing like the 4, I guess the minutes at the 5. Our center's like 6'6". What is it like being 7 foot? And I mean, I gotta assume you didn't play against a bunch of guys that matched up with you size wise in high school.
No, for sure. My conference was pretty small, and Jersey was one of the smaller conferences, and so we had it was a small public school. I think we won we had 20 something conference games a year, and we won the last 74 of them, I think, over my career. Like we lost like one my freshman year, which I wasn't even really playing that much. Then won 60 in a row my sophomore, junior, senior year. So within the conference, there just really wasn't much competition. We had a really good team, at least relatively. And, for me, it was always, they'd throw a football guy in that was kind of hefty and foul me. And so, it was always interesting. But I look forward to those kind of out of conference games where we play against Catholic schools, have a little bit better competition, or tournaments where I could really kind of test myself.
Yeah. Speaking of your high school record, looked you up. You went 1-10-10 in high school. Was that ever boring? I mean, I kind of feel where you're coming from with the conference, because that's how my conference was in high school. We just, I remember one night where the starters just didn't even play, and we won by 30 something points. So like, did you find yourself getting bored at times in high school?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that by the time junior, we had won state championships in Jersey are kind of sectioned out by class. And so we had won our class championship my sophomore year, and then my junior year again. By the time senior year came around, I think we won our conference games by an average of 35 points. There's scores of like 110 to like 40 up there and stuff. And it was kind of crazy. So, it definitely, didn't push me as much as I, would have liked at times. And, starters would only play a couple minutes each half sometimes, to kind of rest us for playoffs and things. So, you have a lot of fun with it, but, the first couple games you kill somebody, then it starts, they start getting a little chippy, and it starts getting, to the point where everybody was just like being at Duke. Everybody was taking their shot against us and playing their best game. And we weren't really caring about that game. It was just another game to us. Right. So that kind of brought some conflict every once in a while.
Yeah. Do you have any like weird stories? Because like I remember when I was in high school, I think it was sophomore, junior year, and we were up like 15 on this team, and in the third quarter, and because we were normally beating teams by 30 plus, no problem in conference. And so we were up like 12 to 15 or something like that. And they just held the ball the entire third quarter, because they were like, if we lose by 15, it looks better to the people doing the rankings than if we lose by 30. So, they ended up losing by whatever it was, 12, 15 points. And they ended up moving up in the rankings the next week, because they only lost to us by, they lost to us by less than 20.
Yeah, we had teams try everything against us. We had a team that, there's no shot clock. So we had a team literally the entire first half held the ball. And I think the score ended up being like 12-8 in the first half or something like that, where everybody was just like, what are we doing here? Watch this game. And then it started to get to the point where we got up like 10 or something, and then they just gave it up.
Yep.
And so a lot of weird strategies, though, over the years to kind of either, fortunately, I had a bunch of shooters on my team that, would be on the perimeter. So when they double and triple team me, it would just be lights out from three. So it's just kind of, but, the double, triple teams at times where few guys are fouling me and it's getting a little rough underneath. It's just not fun. You know?
Yeah. You had a few Zoubs games in high school?
Just a few.
So what was recruiting like for you? I know, coaches say all the time you can't teach height. And so, and 7-footers are few and far between. So I'm sure every coach in the country was looking at you. What was that like?
Yeah, look, it was an interesting process. I didn't start my freshman year of high school. And so we had a pretty good team, and, I was still growing into my body, still kind of figuring things out. So, I think I got pretty good my sophomore summer. And I think at AAU, I was invited to, Nike camp, or like the one right below Nike camp first, and then made it to Nike camp as like a sophomore. And so kind of started getting attention there, and then, had a really good sophomore year. That kind of like burst on the scene. So I started getting letters, but, my parents knew nothing really about basketball. And so, we really didn't have a clue in terms of AAU and Nike camps and all this kind of stuff. I had an aunt that had went to Duke before. I liked watching them on TV, and my parents are pretty academic focused. So when I started getting recruiting letters, there was just a certain type of school that I just didn't really envision myself at. So kind of eliminated stuff pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
ended up really only looking at, Duke and Stanford. I looked at Princeton as an Ivy because my father went there. But, I went up, and it's only 30 minutes away from my hometown. So I went up for one practice, and I think the coach of Air Force had just left and gone to Princeton, and he was a screamer, and it was a disaster. He was abusing the kids there, and their center quit that year. And I looked at my coach, and I was like, "There's no shot I'm going here." To my dad's disappointment, but yeah, I kind of realized that there was just a level of academics that I wanted as well as basketball. So kind of limited pretty quickly, and then was kind of always waiting for Duke, and Duke was kind of the last one to come on. So
yeah. So what for you outside of academics made those two schools, Duke and Stanford, stand out?
Just for me, it was about being an all-around person and balanced. I wanted to get the basketball high-level experience, but I also wanted to have the options of pretty much doing, whatever. I didn't know if I was going to go to the NBA. I didn't know, at a certain point what I was going to do with basketball. I hadn't really ever expected to do anything after as much while I was kind of growing up. And so for me, being able to have the options that, Duke or Stanford would provide to you, I had always kind of envisioned myself going to business school after, and, really wanted to have that option.
Yeah. Did you, or I guess the better question is, did your parents have any reservations about you going so far away from home?
I think that was a factor with Stanford. I love the campus. Stanford is, a dream school for a lot of people. It was for me for a long time, along with Duke. And, I think that might have been, besides the, difference in coaching and other things, that might have been, a factor of having a 5-hour flight or 6-hour flight, to come home very close with my immediate family. I have a sister and my parents, and so, it ended up being great because I think my parents had these, at the time, Southwest had just moved into, Raleigh, Durham. So there was these, $50 flights both ways that my parents could come down to every game. So I think that was certainly a little bit of a factor is there's away from home and then there's really away from home. So.
Yeah. So coming in as a freshman, what'd you weigh?
I weighed 270, 275, maybe 260, so it's 265, 270. And by the end of my freshman summer, I weighed 235. I didn't know how to eat. I didn't know how to eat. The point card system was messed up. So I used my points on Sinelli's pasta the first 3 weeks. So I had no money. And they were running us every day. And I'm like, I don't know if a 7-foot guy should be weighing this much. I've always been kind of a big guy, at least thicker. So, but then I kind of had to pack the pounds on after that.
Yeah. Was it difficult trying to put the weight back on and figuring out how to eat? Did you lift hard in high school, or was that, lifting 3 times a week a new thing for you?
I lifted decently in high school, not a crazy amount. I'd never really gotten into squatting and really doing the things that I should have been doing. And then diet certainly was, the amount of calories that I just need a day just to sustain my my own weight, let alone build muscle, is crazy. So. Just kind of shoving everything in my mouth at certain points. And I have a sweet tooth, as all my teammates know. So I would eat everybody's dessert. So, and now I've found out that I'm lactose intolerant. So, nobody told me that. So I don't, just had issues for a long time, and, just feeding me shakes and cheesecake and all this kind of stuff at school. So explains a lot.
Yeah, it does. So you started your career, with 2 double-figure games. I did some research. So at that point, are you like, man, this college thing's pretty easy?
Yeah, I mean, again, I never really, grew up with that much basketball around me. And so, I didn't really know how big of a deal the blue-white game was and, what to expect at all, really. Obviously, I was probably on the lower tier of being, recruited in terms of, I wasn't a McDonald's All-American. And so really didn't have too many expectations. McRoberts was right in front of me and was there when I was coming in. So kind of already expected that. And then, it kind of surprised me. So I just kind of put my head down and worked. And then, kind of got a little weird after that. But yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a start.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure, for sure. What was it like for you? I mean, mentally, with the frustration of the breaking your foot back-to-back times.
Yeah, I think it can't be really understated, the effect that injuries have on guys.
Yeah.
I think there's two aspects, physically and mentally. I think that at a high level, there's a very thin margin between skill sets of guys,
Yeah,
and
for
at a
sure.
certain point, it's confidence. And
Yeah.
so, not only losing a little bit of your step, or losing a little bit of your strength and skill set and not being into it, but also just losing that confidence is just so hard to gain back, especially when you got younger guys coming up and, the atmosphere at Duke is so competitive. So for me, it was, very long process coming back from not only having it happen once, then having it happen again, and then kind of feeling like I'm behind and I have to catch up, and it's just never getting to the point where I was before. So not only physically, but the larger aspect for me was mentally, where it wasn't able to really even gain that confidence back until my senior year. I mean, I got some flashes and maybe junior year of a little bit, but then mentally I'd start missing a layup or something where it just something was off, where the bigger the responsibility or the bigger the game or whatever, it just wasn't there for me, because I don't think I had that really confidence to really perform at that level.
So going into your senior year, what do you think? I don't know if it was a mental thing, or what do you think you got figured out by your senior year that let you have such a good year?
I think that, I had a conversation with Wojo earlier in the year where it was just kind of keep it simple, and build upon things. So, all right, what was one thing I was doing well? I was rebounding pretty well, and playing defense well. So it was just, all right, don't worry about the rest of it. Go out there, get some rebounds, dish it out to some guys, play good defense, make sure nobody gets to the rim. And then after that, I started to string a few games together where it was like, okay, Brian could, hold his own, and it's not a liability out there on the court. And, then started to, build that upon that even more, and start scoring some points, being out there for longer, getting my wind up, and then, was able to get a shot to start. And then basically was like, you know what, I'm never going back to where I was before. So
yeah, I was definitely a big fan of you, because you set really good screens, and you always kick the ball out when you got offensive rebounds. So you're one of my favorite guys on the court for sure.
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. Well, look, you had to find out how to add value, like with the, me not having the, look, I scored a lot of points in high school, and, I used to be able to, I think I had 13 dunks in one game. I think I had maybe 4 my entire career at Duke, between being my leg shot from the injury and not having the muscles, to not really having the confidence to really, be there offensively. I had to find something else. So
talk a bit about one thing I noticed as a freshman, being out there on the court with you and Lance, is you guys had a really good connection, especially on defense. and guarding pick and rolls and talking to each other and kind of pointing each other in the correct wherever y'all needed to go. You guys had a really good connection. Talk a bit about that and how that developed over your 4 years there.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're both from Jersey. We both kind of knew each other a little bit beforehand, before we got to Duke. You know, that's 4 years of going through literally every up and down you could probably find, and having a very similar path to getting on the court, which was, I got to do something else. I got to add value somewhere else. And I think that we both kind of recognized where our places were, how we were going to get on the court, and how to help each other. And besides being friends and knowing each other for 4 years and going through all the crap together, I think we were just, once it started clicking a little bit, we were both like, all right, well, let's make this work.
Yeah. So this is something I don't know anything about. What is it like to have your own chant at Duke? So even to this day, you go back to a game and you get the Zoubs chant. Is that like, how cool is that?
Yeah, look, it feels pretty great. I think that, I obviously had a tough career and a tough path of getting back to being able to contribute and having a great end. And so, having a core group of people that, kind of saw the struggle that I went through and appreciated where I was able to come out on the other end and getting my own kind of chant. I mean, it sounds like boo, so we gotta kind of introduce everybody a little bit, but it feels really great to have, that kind of appreciation.
Yeah. You're talking about your mindset of, just trying to find any way to add value to the team, which is important because every team needs guys who aren't, trying to score the ball. Is it difficult to change your mindset? Because, I know you said in high school you scored a bunch of points. Did you find that difficult to change your mindset into like, I'll just do the dirty stuff that most guys don't want to do?
Absolutely. It's extremely difficult. I mean, it is not fun.
Yeah.
And it's, when I was going through the injuries, we have even Duke Chronicle articles written about me, about how big of a piece of crap I am and how I shouldn't be on the court, and like my own freaking newspaper. And, and then, the struggles you go through trying to get everything back in practice, where, it's even sometimes 10 times harder than the game, is how hard we went in practice.
Absolutely.
And so, you kind of come back and you want everything to come back quicker or be able to do a lot more, and finding out that you got to go back to basics and, learn how to move again, learn how to jump again, learn how to, set screens and do the simple things and then build upon that is just very tough mentally, especially when, I was a really good high school player, New Jersey Player of the Year, and, won 3 state championships and used to be the center of the offense. And I like scoring. I used to pride myself on my post moves in high school. And so, it's kind of one of those things where your identity shifts, and, having that kind of crisis of identity is very tough.
Yeah. So your senior year, by that time you had been through a few different teams. Your freshman year, you guys struggled pretty good, and then kind of got a little bit better each year. And then going into your senior year, or beginning that senior year, did you feel like that team had a different feel to it than the teams the 3 previous years?
No, honestly. I mean, to be honest, I don't think any of us would have thought that we got where we were going to go. By the end of it, I think that, it was in the back of our mind of not having had, I think we had, we won the ACC, junior year, which was, obviously a certain level of success, but, I don't think there was any kind of a feel of how good it felt at that end run that we're anywhere close. I mean, we got smashed by Georgetown, like a month prior to the tournament in front of Obama.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, all right, we got some glaring weaknesses here. And so I think even till like, last couple of weeks, it wasn't really a full confidence that we were going to step up to the next level. We felt good. We certainly felt better than the other years. We felt like it was a good core group of guys that were finally seniors, but certainly not to the extent that we got.
Yeah. What do you remember about that run, the postseason run, ACC tournament into the NCAA tournament?
I felt so good with our core five once we kind of got them at the end, and a couple guys coming in and helping and that it was just I felt like the team was totally different feel. And we had that one loss in Maryland at Maryland.
Yeah.
But we were right there, and I felt like we could have won it. And so it was kind of a feeling of like, we can beat anybody.
Yeah.
On any given night. So, if we tweak a few things, we can make a real run of it. And it was getting fun.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, that UNC game at Cameron.
Yeah.
For my senior night. I'd never seen anybody. Obviously, we were killing them, but I'd never seen anybody on the team have that much fun in my 4 years on any win. So it was just kind of like, all right, we're actually enjoying basketball again.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying what we're doing. We're enjoying being part, playing with each other. So that was great.
Yeah. One of the things I remember was I felt like, and it's, a credit to really the starting five with 3 seniors, 2 juniors, was like we were really good at preparation. And so if you gave us time to prepare for teams, then we had a pretty good chance of beating them, and I think that showed a lot in the tournament.
Agreed. I think that especially on defense, we worked a lot more as a unit, and everybody who came in, or even if we had different lineups, knew their role and knew that they didn't want to let the rest of the other four guys down on defense, because we kind of, just like I did, where it was like you're starting with one thing and then you're building upon that. I think our kind of lockdown defense was what we'd fall back on when we get pushed by other teams. It's like, all right, shots aren't going in. We're not getting the calls from the refs. Let's just lock it down. And then we'll get
we aren't scoring, y'all not scoring either.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we might not be able to put the ball in the basket right now, but we can.
You won't be either. Yeah. It was. That was almost. I felt like it shocked people because it didn't look. We weren't like the most athletic team. Yeah. We were shockingly, alarmingly unathletic. So, I think that shocked some people just how good we were on defense. But it's almost a bit of like how Virginia plays their defense, where it was real packed in. You weren't getting in the paint. And
everybody was anticipating what other people would be doing and relying on, look, to run a really good defense, you have to take risks. And so having, being able to take those risks, knowing that somebody would back you up, or that, their teammates would have your back and you wouldn't look like an idiot, or somebody wouldn't score, or, something wouldn't break down, was huge.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember what your mindset was like going into that national championship game your senior year?
Well, after I did my sprints that morning.
I was with you guys. I ran them too.
That I didn't think I was going to have to do that day. I was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy it. I mean, look, that day I think was the longest of my life. I mean, the game was at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, super late, like 9:20 or something like that.
You walk through early in the morning and breakfast. You're not going to be able to take a nap. Everybody is texting you. You're about to be in front of the entire country. It's, but it was a little surreal. I don't think you could fully appreciate the moment. I don't feel like you really knew how big of a deal it was. And, we were just kind of like, all right, yeah, it's national championship, but it's kind of like we've been going through this, just another game. kind of try to approach it the same way. I mean, it's, try to shut yourself off and do the same things we've been doing.
Yeah. I remember after we beat West Virginia in the first game in the Final Four, and we went straight from the gym into film, and Wojo started breaking down Butler. And first thing he said was, "This is the best team we're going to play that we've played the whole season." And I was like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, right.
It's like, no
They
way.
just beat Kentucky, like, come on, man.
I was
Tell
like,
me I don't have to face Boogie. All right,
yeah,
good.
yeah. It was like, all right, who's this Gordon Hayward guy? But yeah, then getting into the game, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Butler's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, just like us, didn't look that strong, didn't look that big, but you get up and you're playing against them, and it's a step. Oh, okay, all right, here we go.
Absolutely.
Yep, all right, pretty good.
yeah. I mean, they were similar, very similar to us, man. I mean, a couple guys who could score the ball, a couple guys, they're big man, similar to you, doing all the dirty work, taking charges, rebounding, and played really, really good defense. And I remember going into that game, a lot of the talk was first team to 60 wins and first team to 61.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think that West Virginia game especially just kind of gave us a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
The Baylor game was obviously, I think, our biggest win.
I think looking back, team, that was the one.
Yeah, but that was a scarier one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could have gone either way, and I think that being able to come out and having survived that, and then beat West Virginia as much as we did, we kind of felt like we could win. Where I don't know if we felt like we could win the whole thing before that. I mean, and we still potentially had Kentucky to play against at that point. So it was kind of like, all right, well, we could beat West Virginia, but like we still got to face Kentucky in the final. So
I'm happy West Virginia beat Kentucky for sure, because I don't know if we'd have got that one. But I feel like every team that wins it has a game where it's like, I don't know about this one, and you kind of squeak it out, kind of get lucky. And for us, I feel like it was that Baylor game, the one that could have gone sideways, and you guys figured it out in that second half, and it was good game for us.
Yeah, it was that one was like, we eked by, and when adversity hit us, we figured out a way to make it happen. It wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't.
And I found out of that game, and I was like, oh man, this is the end of my career. I'm good. Glad everybody stepped up.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of crazy. Both the national championship and then the Elite Eight were playing in the other team's home state. Shoot, Butler was right down the street, and then Baylor's, a couple hours away from Houston. So I don't know who set that up, but they could have done it a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I knew we weren't going to be the favorite anywhere we went, but wasn't ideal.
No. So you had one of the biggest defensive plays in the game with the contest on Gordon's fadeaway. Do you remember that play? You remember what you were thinking? Like, how just trying to get a hand up, just distract them a little bit as much as I can?
I mean, it was tough because we had kind of had broken defense the last couple times, and miscommunications with ball screens, and then they had dumped it off to Howard, and he got a easy layup, and so fortunately we pretty much knew that he was gonna shoot it. So but I had to balance kind of covering Howard a little bit in the paint, and didn't know how much I should be going out, and so wasn't really honestly planning anything, just, was honestly trying not to be a liability on the ball screens. For me, it wasn't like I was putting my hand up in his face to like adjust his shot or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm here and I'm trying to do
just doing whatever I can. Okay, so I'm sure you told this story before, but for the viewers and listeners, what was going on with the last free throw? Was it who were you being
Yeah,
told to
look,
make it?
so
Were you being
I
told to
get the
miss it?
rebound. I get the rebound at 3.6 seconds left, and my mind's kind of like blank. I was in the zone at that point,
Yeah.
not really thinking about the moment, just kind of keeping going. And then I had 80 feet to walk to that free throw line, thinking about me with my 50% or 55% free throw percentage going to the line. And just kind of assumed I should make them both, and so made the first one luckily. And honestly, I was almost blacked out at that point where John whispers to me and has to say something, my name, a few times, and then I finally like look over him real quick, and he says, "Look at coach," and he whispers, "Miss it" to me. And so, I'm just like, all right, I'm following everybody else. I'm following John. He knows more about basketball than I do, and Coach K, and good to go. And so it's not like I had intentionally missed it before. So I'm glad I was kind of in the zone, because you can really mess that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, just threw it up there, and, then of course I had the instinct to go and try to get the rebound, and then I almost had to pull myself back from fouling him.
Yeah.
But luckily, I wasted a little bit more of the clock. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of following my teammates at that point, and coach, and I know it's been second guessed a ton of times, but I kind of had the feeling that we wouldn't win either. So it was the momentum was kind of shifting.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
For sure.
as I said, those last couple broken defensive plays where, last 4 minutes, we'd go up 4 or 6 and feel like we were going to pull away. And then they'd come right back and get a couple of easy buckets. And so it kind of felt like it, not sure if we had a more than 50% chance of winning.
Yeah. So being on the court, I know on the bench watching the last shot, it seemed like it lasts forever. Being on the court, where were you, and were you watching the shot thinking, "Oh, that looks like it's got a chance"?
Yeah, so I mean, I bodied Hayward up a little bit, and he had to dribble around me, and so I was kind of running parallel with him as he went down the side of the court. Saw Kyle get killed by the screen, and then I was kind of right in line with him when he launched up the shot. And by the time it hit the rim, I think I was the closest one in the world to it, and I was basically on the free throw line of our basket. And that friggin' thing looked good, I'll tell you that, or at least way too close for comfort.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
immediately see my hands go to my head and start screaming, because you always think that, just like I said, you always think that there's going to be some time to celebrate, or like, hey, we figured it out, we're up 4, or we're up 10, and we hadn't really thought that there, would come down to a buzzer beater in the national championship.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if we had a buzzer beater, for a long time. Even.
No.
So.
So I was checking out your stats a little bit. How much of a goal going into the season was it for you to average that full assist that you averaged your senior year?
Well, it would have been more, but some guys got to hit threes. Throwing it out to John and Nolan. I mean, I wish you were out there more.
Yeah, I got a couple more minutes. I'd have had you.
More of a pure shooter than those guys. So.
Yeah, I'll make sure I text John.
Definitely had more assists than John, probably.
Yeah, it was probably close. So you graduated from Duke. What ended your basketball career?
Yeah, so look, in high school, I thought I maybe would have had a shot at going to the NBA after college, based upon how things had gone. Duke had kind of derailed that kind of dream with, both of my foot surgeries, and I was just kind of grateful to, go back and be able to have some sort of a great end to the career and start. And, so, had kind of got after the championship, had kind of got a couple calls about stuff. That there might be a possibility. We'll see. Hired an agent. Worked out for some teams. Ended up going, undrafted. I got a call in the middle of the draft saying that DC would draft you with like 50 something, but they want you to go overseas for a little while. And I guess my agent suggested that we, go to summer league and, see where things went from there. So ended up signing with the Nets. Rod Thornton signed me to the Nets for summer camp. And then he immediately went and, left his GM role and went to the Sixers. So the GM that signed me to summer league, left immediately.
Yeah.
And we had a new coach. Played the summer league, did okay. And then, ended up hurting myself in the middle of training camp with the Nets. And so, ended up having a slip disc in my back that was kind of pressing on my nerve down into my left leg. It was just kind of a freak thing. I think, deterioration over time, and I had a slip and I fell on the court. And then it kind of just, twisted. Was kind of hurt when at the end of training camp with them. Got better by the end of training camp. I think the coach and GM Billy King at that point had already decided that they didn't need me to play in any games because they already decided on the last 15. So got released then. Was kind of trying to play a little bit, but train and got some offers from overseas, but my back was just hurting me too much, and I tried to get a few epidurals. They didn't take. And then ended up getting a back surgery January in 2011 after that national championship and after training camp, which was an L5 S1 microdiscectomy, cut off part of my bulging disc so it wasn't pressing on the nerve anymore. Then took 3 to 4 months to kind of try to come back from that. And then I was playing pickup with another big guy here in Philly after training and feeling good, and I felt something slip again. And I walked off the court and said, I'm done with basketball. So it was just, after my injuries at Duke, my life had been miserable since then. From the amount of time that I had to spend on PT after all the other school and basketball obligations already, having to fight back from those injuries just to get to the point where I could compete, not the point where I thought I should be at all. I certainly wasn't anywhere close to the player that I should have been or thought I was going to be in terms of athletic ability and all that. So I just really didn't want to bounce around the bottom of the league or go to Europe and try to figure it out and possibly get, hurt even further. So for me, it was just time.
Yeah. Did you know what was next already? Did you have like kind of a plan in mind already?
No clue. I think that, I would have focused on it a little bit more if I didn't have the injuries during college where maybe I just wasn't that good. And maybe I would have focused a little bit more on what I, had planned to do after, but literally 100% of my focus was into just finishing school, doing, getting healthy and, trying to be able to compete at some level on the Duke team. And I really had no idea what I wanted to do, or, I knew I wanted to do some sort of business. Had always been really interested in it, in entrepreneurship and business, but was absolutely clueless about it. So for me, it was kind of look, it's a tough transition because while I decided it was definitely the right decision. It's still a horrible pain process of, your identity and changing from being a basketball player and everybody knowing you and being at the top of your, the top of your profession in something that you've worked so hard against, and then starting over with not really a clue, and also feeling like I had to catch up, so that's the problem, is that you feel like you are behind and you feel like you have to catch up, because I wasn't doing all the planning that, other people who weren't playing basketball were doing in terms of, I want to go to business school, or, I did internships in this industry. Like, we didn't do any internships. We just went to Duke during the summer and took classes and worked out. So I really had no experience with anything either.
Yeah. So then you go into into business for yourself, open up your cream puff shop. What was that like, and what lessons did you learn from doing that?
Yeah, look, I had no idea what industry I wanted to really get into. I had no prior real experience in any industry, and so besides me being a fat kid at heart, and having a sweet tooth, and wanting to start a business and having this idea, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just figured I'd jump in and try to figure it out. So ended up hiring a chef and coming up with some recipes and building out a store, and ran it, built it up for like 8 employees, and was running it for about a year. And I learned more in that year than I had in the first 23 years of my life, about people, about business, about kind of everything. And I was doing some real estate investing on the side. I had read a few books about, financial independence, and, was doing did a house flip where I partnered with a contractor, and bought like a small little, multifamily building, and flipped that. And so, that was going well. I was interested in it more, and could see how it was, more lucrative. The retail food business, you run the scalability 5-10 years out, and, the amount of, return on investment in terms of time and money into a business like that is just not ideal for what I wanted. And then, honestly, what happened was I was here, home for Christmas, and my parents and sister are in South Jersey, and the holidays were obviously nuts. It was, desserts, so they're, that's our busiest time. So my sister was kind of like, "Is this what every Christmas is going to be like?" Because I was just insane, crazy busy, couldn't spend any time with anyone, and kind of miserable. So I decided that I closed up shop and sold everything off, and then got into real estate full time.
Yeah. So you're in Philly now, and you mentioned you're in real estate. What do you do in real estate now?
Yeah, so kind of after, I'll do a little roundabout. After I stopped with the pastry shop, I kind of realized that I needed to learn more about real estate before jumping in. So I ended up trying to connect with a few people. Somebody connected me with a guy in New York who was the former CEO of Cushman & Wakefield, who was running his own brokerage group within them, doing office leasing, and some sales. And so ended up interviewing with him, and he made a spot for me on his team. And so I joined them up there, and did that for a little while, and realized I wanted to kind of do my own investments and run my own thing. So I went to school at night at NYU and got my my master's in real estate finance and investment, and decided to come home to come out of my Philly market here. Where I grew up in South Jersey is 15 minutes away from Philly. So I'm from Philly, unlike G, who says he's from Philly and he's 45 minutes away. But here in Philly, what I do now is I do real estate development, where I buy land and build new construction, townhomes, apartment buildings, sometimes with a retail component on the ground floor. I renovate historic buildings like apartment buildings. And, my goal has been to build a portfolio of rental properties here in Philadelphia. So some I'll sell when I'm finished, and some I'll refinance and hang on to them and rent them out for cash flow. But and then I'll sell the townhomes off to individual, homeowners, so that I can have that cash and throw it into the other side of the business.
Cool. Well, that's all I have for you. But before I let you go, I do have one more question for you.
Awesome.
You got to give me your all-time Duke starting five and a six man. You got to win one game. Need your all-time Duke starting five and six man.
Ooh, all right. Let's see. Like J. Will.
All right.
Leitner. It's tough between like Elton and Sheldon. Then as guards, probably I'm not going to choose any of the guys on my team. Just all the old school guys. So, probably Dunleavy.
Okay.
And probably JJ.
All right. So you go
Screw everybody on my team.
JJ, J Will, JJ, Dunleavy, Leitner, Brand,
and probably Brand. Yeah.
All right, who's your sixth man?
Six man. Probably think Justice or something like that.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I gotta go with the younger guy.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good team. All right, man. I appreciate you joining me. That is actually all I have for you. So appreciate you coming.
I'm not choosing the player that's on the Celtics because I'm a Sixers fan. So he's been crushing us. So
Sixers doing pretty well though, and we got a Dookie up there. Seth is up there.
Yeah, I know. Just the last couple of years in the playoffs. So.
yeah. Got to do it in the playoffs for sure.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Cool. Appreciate it, Greg.
Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for your time.